This episode of the Brilliance Plus Passion podcast is brought to you by the Podcast Reach System. Are you ready to exponentially reach more profitable customers? Launching and hosting your own show is your proven best solution for networking, client attraction, and establishing your celebrity expert brand. Visit www.podcastreachsystem.com and claim your rightful place as the leading star of your industry so you make a difference for your community, market, and audience. Welcome to the Brilliance Plus Passion podcast. Join us as we celebrate entrepreneurs, business creators, and brilliant minds who reveal what they are doing to make the world a better place by being part of it. Be sure to visit our website at www.brilliancepluspassion.com. While you're there, subscribe to us via your favorite network. Now sit back, lean in, tune in, get your notepad and 2 pens ready, and let's get started.
My name is Adam Homey. I am your host, and I am honored by your wise decision to tune in and invest in yourself today. Right now, we're speaking with Andy Splichal, who's a very interesting guy, as I'm discovering here in the green room. Among other things, he's the founder and managing partner of True Online Presence, and watch for the trend, he's the author of the Make Each Click Count book series, host of the Make Each Click Count podcast, and founder of Make Each Click Count University. He's a certified online marketing strategist with 20 plus years of experience helping companies increase their online presence and profitable revenues. In 2020, he was named to the Best of Los Angeles Awards Most Fascinating 100 list, and I trust that you are going to find him fascinating as well. Andy Splichal, welcome aboard. It's a great pleasure and honor to have you here.
Hey, thanks for having me, Adam.
All right, so the first question, how does the work you do make the world a better place for your clients, customers, and society at large?
Well, my clients are e-commerce business owners.
Yeah.
And for them, it's really an amazing time because they can compete with the big stores. They can compete with the conglomerates like Amazon. And I am helping them become as profitable as they can. So, I mean, it's just a really rewarding job that I have because I work with all these small business owners and we're really working on making their dreams come true. The American dream of owning your own company, growing it, and being your own boss. So it's really a rewarding thing that I've been being able to do the last decade.
Awesome. So I read off your bio, and you have a very interesting sobriquet and business brand. But tell me, what is it that you do?
Well, it's really two pieces. So I have True Online Presence, which is a do-it-for-you search engine marketing agency where, like I said, we concentrate on working specialize with e-commerce companies. So we do the advertising for them with the Google, the Amazon, if they're doing that, the Bing, those kind of ads. And then I also run my own training academy, which is Make Each Click Count University. And I really teach those things through my books, the Make Each Click Count book series, as well as on my podcast.
Wow. So that's great. In your experience, what are a few of the most frequently asked questions you get from folks who are discovering their journey toward working with you?
You know, the questions that they come in with typically are, how am I going to grow my business? How am I going to be more profitable? And how can I do it without spending any money on advertising?
Yeah. What are 3 questions you wish people would ask?
You know, what really they should be looking at is what's the demand for my product? What's the market out there that wants to buy this product? What are my conversion rates? And what are ways that I can increase that conversion rate? Because if you don't have a good conversion, well, first, if you don't have the market to buy it, it's not going to matter. And that's proven by conversion rate. So if you have a poor conversion rate in a competitive vertical, it's going to be difficult to really scale and grow profitability. So those are some of the keys that you should be looking at.
Right. So let's shift gears for a moment and let's get to know Andy Splichal on a different level. First question that I have, and let's go into a little bit of a lightning round here as we discover more about you as an individual. What would people who know you be surprised to learn about you?
What it was probably just taken back that I was named to the most interesting list in 2020 of people in Los Angeles. I mean, that really caught me by surprise. I'm doing a lot of things, so I guess that's what got me on the nomination board. But that really surprised me and surprised a lot of people because I've been grinding for a long time now, and to get a recognition like that was huge.
Wow, that is awesome. Really awesome. What do you hope people say about you when you're not around to hear it?
What I really want people to say about me is that I care about my clientele. And that is something where you go to these larger agencies and they don't. There are a number. But I've been there as a small business, worked for businesses, and I know how important that business is to the people I'm serving. And so I'm given 100% every day to either manage their accounts, train them to manage it so they can get the most out of their advertising dollars in the world of e-commerce.
Yeah, and having that level of dedication is not the easiest thing in the world. I run 2 small businesses and I have a very select clientele. And the reason I keep it that way is because I feel a brilliance and a passion for my clients. It's both a curse and a superpower that I tend to get emotionally involved and invested in their success. Now, I have other business lines that are optimized for leverage and expansion with a goal towards salability. So I could have looked at my existing business model and said, oh, this has no salability. Without Adam, there's really not much there. Actually, there are assets that could be sold. That's a different story. But you can actually have both. And that's would have been one of my happy discoveries.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree with you. My agency, when I started my agency, you see so many times that agencies scale and they end up, the person you talk to as a business owner is no longer the person managing your account. And so you are shifted over to a junior marketer who knows, really is just cutting their teeth on your dollars. And so when I do the agency, and I don't do all the work myself, I have a couple people that I work with, team members here, but I am involved in each account still. So I'm reviewing them I'm looking at the key numbers, the KPIs. I'm instructing what to do on the accounts. And so it really is that thing that has set my agency, True Online Presence, apart from the competitors is how much I'm still involved on each account.
And that's a balance that different entrepreneurs have to strike differently. Because on the one hand, people are used to working with you, and now you have a team. Now, in many ways, that actually benefits the client because now not all the bucks stop with you, and they have a dedicated resource. Now, I found that when I attempted to scale my first business, that I would assign my clients project managers and assistants. I had several of both, and I would assign the clients all of them. And I sort of supervised over the account. I met with the client on a fairly regular basis to do the strategy stuff, and other people handled the rest of it under my supervision, which is a leverage business. And at the same time, I had some of the clients who would intentionally remove the other people from emails that I initiated and attempt to deal only with me. Now, I understand why. It's because of what you said. It's that feeling that they connected with the original person. One of my clients, and he's a really great guy. He's a friend of mine to this day, but he hasn't been a client for a long time. He was one of the first into that venture, and he was also one of the first out. And he told me that he saw that my business was scaling. He congratulated me, thought it was awesome. In his coaching, he taught entrepreneurs to do that as well. But he really wanted to have one point of contact where he could deal with them directly and actually do work together with them in real time. I was not interested. So that way our conversation ended, or way our business ended was, or relationship, although we're still friends, is he said, okay, I've got bad news and I've got good news for you. Which do you want first? And I said, well, let's get the bad news out of the way. He said, remember all those projects we've been discussing? I don't need you for those anymore. The good news is you were hoping I'd say that, and we had a good laugh.
Yeah, I mean, I think that is the balance that you have to strive in the service profession industry, which is what you're doing, what I'm doing with the managing accounts. The reason that I've really gone, because it is limited. I mean, there's a bandwidth issue of how many clients you can take. And that is really why I've introduced Make Each Click Count University, as well as the books, because that is where people can learn to do it themselves, and really great resource. So even if you're not running your ads yourself, which a lot of people don't, I always advise that you know how to do it, just so you know that whoever you're entrusting with your advertising is doing it right.
Here's another thing I discovered, and this is what I love about these conversations. They sometimes turn to little mastermind sessions our listeners can learn from. I've discovered that the best clients I can work with are the people who understand what I do as well as, and in some cases, even better than me. The reason is they appreciate the value because they know what it is. And I can have conversations with them on a peer-to-peer level where strategic innovation rather than the one-eyed man leading the blind, so to speak.
Sure, that's a great point.
When you deal with somebody who has no clue what you're doing, you become their hero. And you know how it is with heroes, they tend to disappoint.
That's a great saying.
Yeah. So what famous person, actually, no, before we get to the famous person question, if you could go back in time and change one thing you've done or one thing you've experienced, what would it be and why?
I would have started my agency sooner. So I was in the private sector. I got into internet marketing in the early 2000s. So I've been at it for quite a while now. But I was in the private sector until 2013 is when I launched the agency. And it's really just been a game changer because, as I talked about earlier, I get all these experience on helping people grow their companies. And it's just so rewarding beyond a paycheck that I was getting before. So I would have probably started, you had to get the experience before you're able to fully sell, but probably could have left 3 to 5 years earlier.
Yeah. It's a funny thing that you go into the model where you create this, and then there's this balance between whether you should cut your teeth, do your apprenticeship, how you get the experience, and the early days of the online marketing world were kind of the Wild West. Most people weren't credentialed because the credentials simply didn't exist. It was a matter of who knew what they were doing and could do a good job at it. Now, on the other hand, I do know of somebody I used to associate with who had this idea that she was going to start a virtual assistance agency. Her plan was to charge really high fees to entrepreneurs for virtual assistant services, where she would hire other VAs to actually do the work. And she herself would go around saying, I don't even know how to log into WordPress. That's not my problem. So she ended up approaching some friends of mine about possibly becoming part of her VA firm. And I think 3 of them came back to me and said, if your person ever comes near me again, she's going to get a punch. So there's a way to do this and a way not to do this, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's, and that's not the way to do it. But I mean, it's an amazing time where people can put stuff together, or people can sell whatever they want online, where the barrier to entry even 15 years ago was so much more than it is now. And so it's really just finding products you can sell, because I deal with e-commerce company, and then being able to market on an even ground with the bigger companies that have been around for decades.
Yep. Yeah, my official entry into the podcast market was 2 years ago. But before that, I had been working with entrepreneurs to launch podcasts for years. I myself, my Business Creators Radio show is one of the longest continuously running weekly entrepreneurial podcasts on the air today. So I came with it with a ton of experience. Also, I was involved in the launch of one of the first agencies to create the host-guest connection in the entrepreneurial space, and I was also its first paying client. So it's a matter of, I had the experience, it just wasn't formalized. And I think that what I'd like our listeners to gather is many of them have it as well. It's a matter of how you organize it. Now, you've created this amazing brand, Make Every Click Count. I love how that just rolls off.
Make each click. Make
each click count. See what I mean? So, but the beautiful thing is you, with your podcast, your university, your book, and everything else, have shown how you can take the material and establish your celebrity expert brand, which is part of what podcasting is all about. Now, what famous person, alive or dead, would you like to meet, and what questions would you have for them?
When I left, I really had to learn how to market yourself. And so I read a lot of marketing books, and probably the most influential marketing book to me is Stephen R. Covey and the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And that book really changed my thinking on a number of levels, particularly when it comes to time management and the 4 quadrants. And so if I could meet anybody, it probably would be that author that passed away, just to ask some questions on how those relate to me a little bit more and more personalized. I mean, everything's there. That's a great piece of reading, right? Is you can get it, but to be able to ask questions on the person who initially had those concepts is how I would go there.
Right. What motivates and inspires you to keep going when you're having a tough time or facing a challenge?
It is that working with customers. It's my clients. And I'm having a tough day doesn't mean that their bills aren't going to get paid because their marketing is going to suffer. So that's really what gets me out of bed in the morning, and get me going. And I start early. I start at 5:30 in the morning and start really grinding early. And that's what makes it worth it to me.
Yeah, I'm very much a night owl, so you 5:30 in the morning people, I sometimes make the joke, all right, I'm into a project here, so I'm probably going to be at it until the 5:30 a.m. people start waving and saying, look, I'm here. I have my client, my assistant and I are 3 time zones apart. She's 3 time zones ahead of me, and she's an extreme early bird. So sometimes the hint I get that it's time for me to wrap it and call it a night is when she Skypes me and says, I'm here, now go to bed.
Oh, yeah, that's early for sure.
Yes. So finally, and I know you have a special gift for our listeners. I will introduce that to them. But in general, right now, what is one action, one step you would encourage our listeners to take as soon as we finish listening today?
Go check out makeeachclickcount.com. If you are selling e-commerce, go there. You can get my book. You can get all the books there. But if you're doing e-commerce, I would definitely recommend the Google Shopping book. It was awarded Best Marketing Book of the Year in 2019. Pick that up. You can get a downloadable copy for, I think it's like $5.96. Then you can, if you want, we'll send you a hard copy for an additional $10. But you have all that there. You have links to all the podcast episodes there.
Yep.
You have links to the free Facebook group there, where you could join and ask me questions that you have on e-commerce, as well as other professionals in that group. And there's a link to the Make Each Click Count University as well. So go to makeeachclickcount.com, and you can really connect and help you with your marketing.
Yeah, well, that's an answer of, go to my website and check things out. And I do encourage people to do so. And I know that I'm checking it out myself because I find it fascinating. But in terms of one thing in general that they should do that can help move them forward or help them gain a benefit from what they're doing.
Buy the Google Shopping book.
Okay.
It's $5.96. The link is there. If you are selling stuff online, it'll help you immensely. And what you're going to get from that, if you read it and implement it, is, I don't know where the value is going to be. It's going to depend on what you're selling, but it's going to be huge.
Yep. And I know you have one more thing for us as well. If people go to www.makeeachclickcount.com, and notice I said each, not every, makeeachclickcount.com/video, what they're going to find is a free Google Ads training video. So that shows the number one way to increase profitability using paid Google Ads. So I would pair downloading that video with purchasing your book if it were me.
Yeah, no, the video is great. I do a bunch of free trainings in the Facebook group. This one was really popular because if you're doing Google Ads, you probably know, but Google has started to hide some of the search terms. So you can't even see all the search terms that are coming in. So this shows you how to get that information out of Google Analytics. So it's, if you don't know, request that video. It's free, and it'll get you started on being able to see what your actual search terms are.
And with that, Andy Splichal, thank you so much for being with us today. It's been an honor, and believe me, in education.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Thank you for tuning into the Brilliance Plus Passion podcast, where we celebrate entrepreneurs, business creators, and brilliant minds who are making a difference for their community, market, and audience. Remember to visit our website at www.brilliancepluspassion.com and enjoy even more great episodes like this one. Again, while you're here, subscribe to us via your favorite network. We look forward to seeing you next time on the Brilliance Plus Passion podcast.